The good news is that the road to the Super Bowl still goes through Santa Clara. Unfortunately, if the 49ers are going to play there, they're going to take the scenic route. What is good, everybody? Welcome to the Gold Standard Podcast Instant Reaction Show. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. It is not a happy recap tonight as the San Francisco 49ers fall 13-3 to the Seattle Seahawks. Arguably the worst offensive performance in the Kyle Shanahan era. We can talk about that. Brock Purdy, injured at the end of the game, needed to be helped off the field, or at least helped to his feet and jogging off the field. We can talk about that. But more importantly, what the loss means now is that the 49ers will not be the 1 seed. They will not get a first-round bye, and they will have to play next weekend on the road somewhere. Lot to break down in this game. Becca says, YouTube channel member says, what a punch in the gut. Fix this XFL defense. You know, it was a weird, frustrating game because the defense wasn't good, but also they only gave up 13 points, So like the defense, they got some pressure sometimes. Now we'll get into some couple of key possessions that really were the story of this game. The defense was frustrating, but at the end of the day, they only gave up 13 points. The offense only scored 3. The offense couldn't do anything. They were yuck and poo in this game. Mike UA says, I never want to see those jerseys again. I completely understand it. Levin Black is here. Levin, I said it was a weird game because on the one hand, the 49ers defense wasn't good, but on the other hand, they only gave up 13 points, and the 49ers offense did nothing in this game.
Well, I mean, let's just start with give credit where it's due. That was a masterclass by the Seattle defense. They dominated this game. I mean, this should have been a 20-plus point blowout. The Seattle offense kept losing points. They had points to put on the board. 2 field goals missed. They went for it on 4th down inside the 10 and didn't get it. This game, but this game they dominated on both sides of the ball, completely and utterly. Now, for the 49ers point of view, it's no question. There is no argument to be made. It is the worst offensive performance of the Kyle Shanahan era. And the statistic that backs that up is it's the fewest yards gained in the Shanahan era by the team. Absolutely inexcusable. And I don't even know who to put it on because to me, Purdy didn't have a bad game.
No, he didn't.
He did not turn the ball over. You can say the interception. That's 100% on Christian McCaffrey. Hit him in both palms. That is due to the angle of that type of throw, exactly where the player usually has to try to catch the ball. It's a game where nothing was open. Nothing worked. The game plan sucked. Kyle Shanahan got out-coached, period. But also, the players, the skill players and the offensive line sucked. They got beat left and right. Juwan Jennings 3 times got into a physical matchup in the first quarter, and all 3 times lost it. It's a game where no player did their job in terms of receivers, running backs, offensive line. And both coaches, I think, got out-coached as well. It's just
Saleh and Shanahan.
Yes, Saleh and Shanahan both got out-coached. Like I said, the Seahawks should have gotten into the high 20s minimum for points. They kept shooting themselves in the foot.
Nick Wagner said, Brock Purdy jogged to the locker room after the post-game handshake. Seemed to be okay after a big hit there at the end, but we'll learn a bit more shortly. Look, it's hard to tell. I was trying to look on the play. Did he get hit in the head multiple times? Did someone land on his knee? It didn't look, maybe it was just a big hit. It looked like maybe just a big hit and not, like a knee twisting or anything like that. So hopefully we'll have to wait and see, but obviously we won't know.
His legs didn't get caught underneath him. I think the 2 things that I saw that would be the most concern was the initial hit was right to his shoulder in the back. So maybe that shoulder hurt him, but it's the non-throwing shoulder. The bigger concern, because they now have to play next week, is was his head hurting? Is it a concussion thing?
His thumb was bleeding. He hit his thumb on a helmet, which, apparently ended Trey Lance's career. If you want to hear the stories the 49ers are telling. Anyway, Dallas says, at Dallas SE says, this was a reality check, 1 and done next week in Philly. Perfect Blackness says this was a shanty loss, not on the defense. Con JKJ, Purdy had pressure all game. Seattle got pressure with 4, and the secondary locked us up. That was it to me.
Yeah.
That's really what it was. When you get pressure, and they got quick pressure with 4, and there's 7 guys in coverage, there's nowhere for the quarterback to go with the ball. And that's pretty much the story of every offensive possession in this game. And we'll get to some of your super chats later, but I want to point to the crucial point in the game, because I thought it was back-to-back possessions in the football game. The first one, obviously, is the Purdy interception. Just a crippling Purdy, or not the first one. I'm sorry. The second one is the Purdy interception. The first one is Seahawks get the ball. It is 13-3. It's a 10-point game. Seattle gets the ball. First play on the 32-yard line, they fumble the handoff. Darnold gets stepped on. The ball is out. It is there. And Yetur Gross-Matos is there. 94 is there. And he's trying to fall on the ball. Like he does nothing wrong. He's just not able to recover it. He doesn't recover it. Seattle gets the ball back. Eventually, it gets to 3rd and 17. Do the 49ers make the stop? No. The Seahawks run a give-up play. They run the ball on 3rd and 17. They are surrendering. It's a white flag play. And the 49ers can't get the stop, and they go on to convert, and they go on to kick a field goal. And it's 13-3. I'm sorry, it was 10-3 when the possession started. I'm all frazzled because I'm so angry. Yeah. And they cut to John Lynch in the booth, and what does John Lynch say? God damn it. They got right to him. Then, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said there's 2 plays. There are 3 plays. You've already mentioned the 2. Now you're going to get to the 3rd. There are 3 plays that happen in quick succession, and that was the ball game.
It was the 2 possessions. There's John Lynch if you're watching the stream. He's screaming as he should. He was all of us in that moment. So it was a 1 possession game, and you can't get the ball on the fumble, and you can't stop them when they give up on 3rd and 17, and they make it a 2 possession game. And the 49ers get the ball back, and they finally start to get a little momentum. They get the 20-yard pass to Kittle. And you're like, all right, here we go. Brock scrambles for 11. We're moving the ball down the field. Demarcus Robinson makes a catch for 10 yards, and it is down 2nd and goal at the 6-yard line. And Brock Purdy drops back, and the ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage, makes it a little bit behind Christian McCaffrey. The ball is pretty much in his hands. It pops out of his hands and goes directly into the hands of a Seahawks defender. Interception, and that was the ball game.
Yeah, and by the way, it's the 2nd straight week Seattle has converted a 3rd down like that. Last week they had, I think it was a 3rd and 19 and had a 23-yard run on it. Like, what, how? It's just inexcusable. No run on 3rd down should convert from like longer than 7 yards, period. I will say, like, the defense, yes, they held them to low enough points. Again, I argue Seattle cost themselves a lot of points, but they did well enough, I would say. The one thing that drove me insane in this game was the tackling. There were so many missed tackles. There are 4 plays that I can immediately think of that they have them stopped 5 yards before the 1st down, and yet they got the 1st down. There were 2 different times when the player is going along the sideline and players just assumed, oh, he's going to get pushed out by the guy in front of me. Oh, crap, he didn't. Now the guy's past me. And both times the Seattle player just happened to barely touch the white and be out of bounds. But it was just the effort, not good enough.
You would think a defense full of scrappy guys that are finally getting their shot would play with a little more effort. And I get that they were tired, but the tackling was terrible. Kyle called it out before halftime. He was correct to call it out. Now, you would have liked to see his offense do something in the first half or the second half, but it was not a good performance by anybody except Eddie Pinheiro. It's frankly pretty much it, because he did his job. He made the kick. Andre Garibay says, went just as expected. This defense is pathetic, and that can't be ignored. Injuries are huge, but Niners don't draft well. Seattle and Rams draft well and got fast, explosive defense. Pass rush is pathetic. You know, I actually thought they got more pressure than I thought on Sam Darnold. They had a couple of sacks in this game as well. Darnold had 2 sacks, lost 17 yards in the game. They got more pressure than they usually get. I will say that. And again,
yeah, but that's good job. You were below average instead of abysmal.
Well, that's what we were hoping for, though. What were we saying? We were saying if this D could do that with the way the offense was playing, they'd have a shot. Now, the offense didn't play that way tonight. The defense, as frustrating as they were, only gave up 1 touchdown. They gave up 13 points. You could say, well, they turned it over and the scoreboard is what matters. They gave up 13 points. In 2 games against the Seahawks, the 49ers have given up 2 touchdowns. And it was all told, it was a performance that was certainly good enough to win, but the Niners just got completely dominated offensively. The Seahawks got pressure. Pretty much every drop back, they were speeding Purdy up. We could not run the ball worth a damn. Christian McCaffrey had 8 carries for 23 yards in the game. That's 2.9 yards per carry. If it wasn't for Brock Purdy's runs, the Niners would be abysmal. It was a dominating win by Seattle. No question about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, to me, a flush-it game for the Niners. What are you going to watch that you take away from this game that's positive? What do you watch and say, oh, okay, next time we'll do this or change that? No, this is just a game. Nothing was good. Nothing. Like, the defense, yes, gave up 13 points, but where were the plays? You know what I mean? Like, it's not that they necessarily stopped Seattle. It's that Seattle missed field goals and went for it on 4th down deep in the red zone and didn't get it.
They stopped Seattle on that possession. I don't know why you don't want to say it. They stopped them. They tried to score. They failed. They got stopped. Like, I'm not giving Seattle credit for that. They chose to go for it. They failed to get it. That's a stop by the defense.
Sure, they could have taken a field goal.
Yes, but they chose not to. So
right, but if they take their field goals and make them as they should, which you like to argue about Moody all the time, that you should count on the field goals being made if they're less than 50 yards, then this is a team that scored 25 points, and it would be 22 points, and it's a team that scored on almost every possession that they got the ball.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. It'd be one thing, like, you want to give Seattle credit for the field goal that the Moody missed at the end of the game for 25 yards where he hit the upright.
They missed 2 field goals and had another 4th that they could have gone for 1.
Yeah, so if you want to give them 6 more points, great. That's fine, but I'm not giving them points for a field goal they didn't attempt. Matthew McBride says, proud of the defense for keeping us in the game. Shanahan needs to really look in the mirror. Look, Kyle Shanahan has been coaching his ass off this year. Did he have a bad game? Did the Seahawks dominate them? Yes. But, we can separate those 2 things. Like, this was a bad day for the 49ers offense. No question about it. Kyle Shanahan should be mad that his team only put up 3 points. They only got inside the Seattle Seahawks 30-yard line 1 time in the game, and that's when Purdy ended up throwing the pick. So it was a dominating defensive performance by Seattle.
I mean, there's a couple things. One, I don't know that there's too much they can do against the Seattle defense. They are very well built to stop this offense, because what they can do, as you said, they get pressure with 4 and they get it quick. But what they were doing was they were dropping back. They were taking away the intermediate and the deep and saying, if you want to dump it off, that's fine. We're going to fly up and get the tackle. Similar to kind of how the Niners used to do it when they had a ton of speed on defense. And it meant that the Niners couldn't get a deep play. But then they also kept contained on Purdy until right towards the end on the last 2 drives, where Purdy could not escape to the outside. And because he couldn't escape to the outside, a shorter quarterback running up towards the defensive lineman in front of him, he can't see to make a big play. He's just got to try to run it, and it didn't work. Now, the thing I would say that I did not like is early in the game, when they showed the zoomed out angle, I saw 3 or 4 plays that they did that, and every single receiver was running a 10-plus yard route. Well, if you can't freaking block, stop sending everybody deep, for one. But I also I didn't like last week. What did they do a lot? They moved the pocket. Purdy had lots of rollouts last week and things that got him outside of the pocket right away. I didn't see a single one where it was a designed rollout this week, and I don't understand why.
I just think with 7 guys in coverage, there was nowhere for Purdy to throw the ball. They had no one that could beat man-to-man coverage. Jennings couldn't do it. It was such a struggle to complete a freaking pass. I think that Pearsall being out was devastating because he's a guy that can beat man coverage and that can beat man coverage quickly. They didn't have him tonight. And when they don't have him and they can't run the ball, that's the offense you're going to see. 3 points, by the way, fewest points in the Shanahan era. This comment from oh man, why can't I read this? He'll adapt to reading. Says, he'll adapt to reading. Says CMC botched it just like the Super Bowl fumble. Rodog says, D is too beat up. We don't have the depth. Defense got gassed. Kyle played safe to go on fourth. You were already down. When Kyle punted on 4th and 1 early in this game, I was furious. Like, Kyle, what are you doing? Now, he's going to say, well, we only gave up 13 points. Put the game in the hands of your offense. I don't care that the other team has a good defense. Your offense is clearly the best unit. You should not be punting on 4th and 1 ever. I don't care where you are on the field. It's 4th and 1. You should not be punting on 4th and 1 with this defense and your offense. You shouldn't.
There was another possession, I think it was third quarter, where it was like 3rd and 1.5. Okay, QB sneak it twice. You have a quarterback who literally has only been stopped once on a QB sneak, short of getting it. So QB sneak it twice, you're going to get 1.5 yards. What? Instead, they came out and they tried to. It was one of the ones where he tried to throw a short pass to Kittle that wasn't complete. You know, it would have been a 1-yard gain if he caught it. It's like, there's no point to those plays. How many times did they have somebody in the second half run an out route that was 2 yards from the line of scrimmage? What is the point of that route? You're going to gain 2 yards? Who the F cares?
I think Demarcus Robinson did that once on 3rd down. I think that's on Robinson. Like, dude, you got to run it, man. You got to go past the stick. You're catching it there.
He went past the sticks, but like, it was half a yard past the sticks to where there was no room for error then at all. No, you got to run a 3-yard on one when you need one.
Well, and because especially if you come back to the ball, which a lot of times you need to, then you're short. And that's what happened. Antonio says, pathetic, hate this team with a passion. F Seattle. To Big 25, new Seattle defense was good and was going to show up. Shanahan play calling on multiple 3rd and short plays was frustrating. That 3rd and 17 shaking my damn head. That was frustrating. The 4th down that the Niners did go for that they didn't get, they have Sky Moore wide open on the play, but there was pressure almost immediately by DeMarcus Lawrence, and Purdy he didn't have time to throw it to him. That was the night. When you get quick pressure with 4, it's really hard to stop that. That's exactly, and I think you said it. This is the defense that the 49ers wanted to be. That's their dream, is quick pressure with 4, 7 in coverage. And you see it's effective. It's really good. By the way, there's almost 1,800 people watching. Thank you, everybody. Please like this video. Subscribe to the 49ers Gold Standard Podcast Network. We're live after every game. We're live every single weekday. Please give us a chance if this is your first time checking us out. I promise you will like what you see. Even when the 49ers lose, we can break it down better than anybody. Let's continue with some of the super chats. Nate Hawk, 143. Bury these jerseys and never bring them back. I actually thought they looked pretty good.
I love the look of the jerseys, but yeah, they're never going to come back because of what happened in them. But I do want to say that this is something that this type of game, I think you see the difficult road that's, I would say, near impossible that the Niners can make the Super Bowl, because they got to go most likely to Philly on the road. It'll be the 4th game in 20 days when they play Philly, assuming it's a Sunday game, which we don't actually know. But they got to go to Philly. If they win that, they are most likely going to the team that just kicked their ass. They would most likely, as the 6th seed, be going to Seattle. And the only way they wouldn't is if Green Bay upsets. And even if they win that game, they're likely going on the road to either Chicago or LA. Like, dude, I just cannot see them winning 3 straight like that.
Could you see them competing for the number 1 seed this year? Like, I don't care what's likely. This whole year has been about what is unlikely for this team. So let's just line up and play the game and see what happens before we throw dirt on this team. By the way, Cam Inman says Brock Purdy sustained a stinger on the final hit, but it is not believed to be too serious. Had stingers in December 2023 too. Bethune and Winters could have injuries that linger into the wildcard round next week. Of course, that's Kyle at the podium. What do we know about Kyle at the podium? Don't take a word of what he says as anything. So hopefully that's all it is for Brock Purdy, but we will wait and see. Andre Gerbe, YouTube channel member. Thank you very much to Andre and all our YouTube channel members. Says 49ers lack young talent. Pearsall misses too much time whiffing in draft, shows how many holes this team has. Wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, DBs. We need help all over. Well, it's certainly, they need help, yes. But, also Nick Bosa and Fred Warner aren't there on defense. So you'd feel a lot better about the defense if their 2 Hall of Famers were out there.
Now, this is the way I would put it. Seattle is dominating with the draft. Their last few drafts have been absolutely A++. The Rams they've done excellent in bringing in the right veterans, and they draft pretty well. They're not as good as Seattle. The 49ers, I feel like they are drafting just well enough to stay relevant with the phenomenal players they drafted years ago. The last 5 years for the 49ers in the draft are not very good. They're getting just enough depth to allow the Fred Warners, the George Kittles, to lift them up. And Purdy is the albatross in that recent draft history. He's the only person to come out that is a difference maker out of the draft in recent seasons. And that's really the difference, is that Seattle is getting guys that are becoming stars, and they're getting a lot of them. The Rams have gotten a few, but they're also doing an excellent job of being aggressive in the vet market. Devontae Adams, Matthew Stafford, there's a couple of others. The Niners are doing just enough to allow the aging stars to keep them relevant. They're not doing enough, and I think it's really starting to rear its head, and you're seeing it this season especially, but it's going to continue. It's also, yes, elephant in the room. It does have to be said. It's also what happens when you trade 3 first-round picks and get jack shit for it.
And also 3 or 4 picks for Christian McCaffrey. They traded 4 picks for McCaffrey. Like, no one wants to count that in the calculation, but it's true. And I know Christian's been great, but also that's 4 players that they could not take. And you're talking about the lack of depth on this team. That has to enter into it as well. The problem is, too, when you stack bad draft classes in consecutive years, that really hurts you. I think the last 2 draft classes for the 49ers, there's things to like there a lot. I liked Michael Williams before he got hurt. Alfred Collins looks really good. Upton Stout had been up and down.
Hold on. Here's the thing. They show potential. There's a massive difference between that and what Seattle is getting. Seattle has rookies that are playing at a star level, a Pro Bowl level. Alfred Collins has shown flashes of being really good. They have multiple DBs. They had 2 DBs last year that were really good and are still good right now. And they still had one recent, Kobe Bryant, that was out this game. But the Niners have guys, yes, they're showing flashes. Jair Brown, his rookie year, showed flashes. How'd that turn out? He never really improved. Alfred Collins is showing flashes. He could become a star, but until he does, you can't count him as being on par. It's just something that, yeah, there's some potential. Michael Williams, yeah, a lot of it was we heard great things about him. We did not see that much great things from him on the field yet. There was a couple flashes, but you did not see consistency from him yet. You cannot say, check mark, that was a good pick.
Oh, I absolutely disagree. He was an elite run stopper. He was phenomenal with it. They were like 1.5 yards per carry better with him on the field against the run than they were with him off the field. Anyway, I wouldn't want to get bogged down in the 49ers draft history. Do they need to draft better? Yes. And I think they have drafted better the last 2 years, but you need multiple years of good drafts to overcome multiple years of bad drafts. And there's no question they have had multiple years of bad drafts. Eric Williams says the refs did the 49ers no favors. McCaffrey not catching the ball cost us the game, and you can tell on Christian's face he was upset. Well, of course he was upset. Here's the thing. Even if he catches that ball, and even if the Niners score a touchdown on that possession, they still need to score again. So it ended the game, but had they gotten it, it wouldn't have guaranteed them the game either.
Yeah, it was just a completely disappointing. Like, you can't, as crazy as it is to say, after they averaged 35 plus points per game over the last 6 weeks or 4 weeks, the Niners being down 13-10 with what would have been 6-7 minutes to go would have still been a tall task, because they had not been able to move the ball pretty much at all. As I said, they ended up finishing as the worst offensive performance of the Kyle Shanahan era with 173 yards. The previous worst was 191 in a game that meant nothing at the end of last season. After that, it's the Cleveland game where they missed the field goal to win it at the end, which is 50 yards better than this game.
And only 3 points, too. The lowest points scored in the Shanahan era as well. Kevin Cook says not one penalty on Seattle D. I call BS. I'm not going to. When you're begging for penalties on the other team, that's when you know it wasn't a good performance. D-Ware 5883. What does it say that Cowing, Watkins, James, Garendo can't even get on the field when the offense looks this bad? Why draft them to never play? Well, that's what I texted you at some point. I was like, look, we're not getting open against man coverage with Jennings and Bourne. Like, can we put Jordan Watkins on the field just to see? It's not like if you put him on the field, automatically it's going to be a turnover and the touchdown for the other team. Like, I just wanted them to try something because what we were seeing, it was ugly. The Niners were playing. I think I saw Shasky said the Niners are playing in a phone booth on offense. It was very tight. It was just very, very difficult. Con JKJ says, I suspect Ricky's initial injury was misdiagnosed. That's why he can't last before getting hurt again. Well, don't forget, he also got an ankle. He got the knee that was aggravated, and then he picked up the additional ankle injury on the hip drop tackle. So, and I don't know which one is worse. I don't know. But that was a big loss for them. You could feel the difference in the offense without Ricky out there.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have to spend a lot of either draft capital or money in free agency getting wide receivers because Ayuk's not coming back. Jennings can't get open against man coverage. If he wants to come back for less than $10 million, I would bring him back, but that's the most I'm willing to pay him. Watkins, Cowing, if he's not willing to play him, then you can't count on him. And Ricky Pearsall, at this point, you can't count on him. Because, one, he hasn't shown that he's a game changer yet.
He's awesome.
He's good. No, he is not. He's not to the level that Ayuk was. Put it that way.
Oh, I don't know.
He is good, but if that's all you have with his injury history, it's not enough. Like, he's a borderline number one. That's what he's shown so far. He's a borderline number one. He could end up becoming a true number one, or he could end up just being a good number two. The point is, there's nothing after him.
It's really
he's been hurt. What is this now with the ankle? The third different injury that he's had in 25 games that he's been capable of playing in after he came back from the one I don't count, which is the gunshot wound.
Yeah,
it's the third different injury in 25 games. So you can't count on him. You got to go get two receivers that if something happens to Ricky Pearsall, you're okay with those guys being your starters.
Well, even if Pearsall plays every game, you still need help at wide receiver. Like you said, you just need more help there at that position. You felt it tonight for sure. Warlock says playing for the 1 seed was a curse. Now they aren't rested and they're more injured. I fear what the Eagles are going to do to us in the wild card. Plus, it's Purdy versus the elements. We need a complete overhaul. They're in a rebuild year and they were playing for the number 1 seed tonight. And you want a complete overhaul? Like, holy crap. I
mean, I wouldn't mind a almost complete overhaul on defense. I would not be opposed to trading Nick Bosa this offseason. Now, the cap situation makes it pretty much you can't. But the point is, like, I don't think he's a positive at this point. He is not worth the money that he is costing on the salary cap. Put it that way.
Oh, I think he was going to be. I think he was going to have the kind of year this
year. He's going to be. It's been 3 years of that now.
No, I think he was playing great. He helped close out the Saints. The Seahawks game he ended. He helped close out the Saints game with a massive sack at the end of that game. I think he was primed this year to be great. He got hurt the first home game of the year, and we never. Are
you confident he can be dominant again?
Am I confident? No. Do I want to trade him? You're going to trade him at his lowest possible value. And you're going to get what for him? And then you're going to need another pass rusher anyway, who chances are...
I'm okay hitting the reset. You keep Michael Williams, you keep Fred Warner. Everybody else, there's some young players that are obviously still going to be on the team. You're not getting rid of Tatum Bethune, who's in his second year, for instance. But I am fine with every single other position being up for grabs and go get guys that can maybe be the starters. There's nobody on that defense other than Fred Warner and Michael Williams that should be penciled in as starters.
I completely disagree with that. I think you're down in the dumps after this one loss, and I get it. I'm down too, man.
Yeah, okay. Defense. This is the best game the defense has had in how many weeks? The defense sucks at all levels, and you agreed with that in recent weeks. The secondary sucks. The linebackers suck. Now, obviously, Fred Warner changes them a good bit. I did forget about Lenore. Obviously, pencil him in as a starter. But the defensive line sucks. Here's the thing that I thought about today. Even if Nick Bosa stayed healthy, let's say he had 10 more sacks coming the rest of this season. to get to 12.5 is most since the MVP season. Let's say that Michael Williams stayed healthy and got 5 more sacks, which would have been a lot more than what he was on pace for. You add 15 sacks to this team's total, it is still in the bottom 10 in the NFL for sacks. So even if those guys come back after serious injuries, oh, by the way, they probably won't be ready for the start of the season. Even if they come back, you still don't have a good enough pass rush.
Yeah, but here's the thing that you're discounting. Those guys open up opportunities for other people. If Bosa's there and Mike Hall's there, Bryce Huff is going to have more opportunities to rush the passer because he's not going to have to play 30 snaps. He's going to be fresher. He's going to be better. Alfred Collins is probably going to be better. There's an effect there having all the guys in the lineup. I'm not tearing this team apart just because they lost one game to the Seahawks.
I'm not saying tear the team apart.
You said complete teardown.
Of the defense that sucks.
Because they're missing Nick Bosa and Fred Warner and Michael Williams.
That's not the only problem. Both safeties aren't good enough. I think Mustafa could be good enough if you got a true free safety to pair him with.
Do you think this defense would suck if it had Bosa and Warner? Do you think it would suck?
Suck? No, it'd be mediocre.
There you go. All right.
Mediocre's not good enough.
Chats. Ace Bra, thank you very much for the super chat. It is with this offense, by the way. Fox Do a Barrel Roll says, do you want Philly or Chicago? The Lions beat Chicago last time. Here's the thing. The Philly defense scares me. Okay. It's going to be tough against anybody. I would guess maybe Chicago again, but Ben Johnson also knows how to move the ball again. Every game that they're going to be matched up with, whoever you want to put, it's going to be an uphill battle for the 49ers. No question about it. It was going to be an uphill battle, but do you want to not play the playoffs? Do you want to go home? Do you want to just put your tail between your no, we got a puncher's chance and we'll see what happens. Don't get all down because they lost the game. Okay. If I told you what was going to happen this year and that the Niners were going to go 12-5, would you be all bummed? I'm not.
No, this is kind of what I think this game showed what we expected to have seen when everybody got hurt. This game showed the results that we expected, and they overachieved and got to 12 wins, which is great. But this is what the reality is talent-wise. The reality is the talent's just not there with all the injuries. They do not have the talent to compete against top teams.
Defensively. I think they have it offensively when they have their guys, but defensively, they just don't. Cam Inman has the quote from McCaffrey at the end of the day. CMC says, we're in the playoffs. It's time to get bodies back and minds right for the journey ahead. I can't get that play back, the interception he's talking about, but I'm hungry for the playoffs. This whole season has been difficult for us. We continue to beat the odds and show people we're a real football team. I mean, would you expect it to be easy for the 49ers? I mean, this is the path that they have chosen all year over and over and over again, and they're going to take the difficult road one more time.
I mean, if they have a good offseason, this is definitely a top contender.
Why are you skipping to the offseason, dude? They got a playoff game next week.
Cool.
Oh, you're just counting it as a loss then? Are you not going to watch? Stop skipping the offseason.
It's that they're not going to be able to get through 3 straight. So the rebuilding year was a success.
How do you know? You think that's what's going to happen, but you never thought what actually happened this year was going to happen, and neither did I. So let's just
play 3 straight playoff teams.
Let's just let it play out, man. You're already skipping it. We got so much time in the offseason to break down the offseason. Well, don't worry. We'll have time. Trust me. Let's not skip ahead now. You're driving me nuts.
My point was the year was a success. Yes. But there is still work to be done.
My point is the year is not over. That's my point. Perfect Blackness says, Stats, don't you dare blame this on the defense. Saleh held Seattle to 13 with nothing. F you backwards if you put this on the defense, Shanny, period. I didn't put it on the defense. I put it on the offense, dude. What show have you been watching? I said that the defense was frustrating, but at the end of the day, they only gave up 13 points. I don't know if you were watching a different show, but damn. Warlock says, how long until Mike Macdonald runs Kyle out of the division? He owns him and we're losing Saleh. Wait until the Rams get Burrow. Warlock, I don't even know why you watch the 49ers, man. Everything. You are even more doom and gloom than the human wet blanket over here.
I mean, at this point, I do think you can write in ink that Mike Macdonald has Kyle Shanahan figured out.
Okay. I mean, I think it was almost, if Purdy doesn't throw that pick, who knows? But
who knows for winning, but not because of the offense. If he doesn't throw that pick, they got to 10 points. Like, the offense was still shit. So,
it wasn't
Mike
great.
Macdonald knows how to stop this offense.
I think it has less to do with Mike Macdonald and more to do with the fact that the Niners got flat out whooped along the offensive line. Joe JC says the season will end next week if they play like that again, but it was still a pretty incredible season given the personnel hurdles, something to build on. Man, people are just skipping ahead. That's it. Season's over. They lost this game. Season's over. Justin Garcia says, so who are we pulling for tomorrow? I haven't even looked, honestly. There is no matchup where I would feel great, except if the Niners played the Bucs or the Panthers. And that cannot happen because actually it could. I shouldn't say that. If the Rams lose, the Niners will be the 5 seed. But if the Rams lose to the Cardinals, holy crap. If the Rams lose to the Cardinals, whew.
If the Rams lose to the Cardinals, one of the main storylines going into the playoffs is what a collapse by the Rams, because that would mean loss to finish, and 2 of them to terrible teams.
Moonman Ed, YouTube channel member, says, what happened to Ricky? Is he looking like a bust? He's got a bum knee and a bum ankle. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan addressed anything with Pearsall after the game. I think people see Ricky, this is a thing with the 49ers and Ricky too. Because he was limited all week, people are like, oh, he practiced every day, he's going to play. But they were just walk-through practices. So they weren't really doing anything at practice. And it's another case of where the Niners will have kind of set expectations for Pearsall, and then he doesn't meet it, and then people get twice as mad at him. It's been an uphill battle for Pearsall this year. No question about it. But when he has been on the field, he has been really good. It's just a bummer that he's been fighting this knee injury, and now he picked up the ankle.
Yeah, and going to look at if he gets help. Imagine Ricky Pearsall with a competent receiver opposite of him.
Imagine him with Brandon Oh, no, never mind. Eric Williams says Seahawks wanted it more clearly. Chris Waddell, pretty sad that our defense is what kept us in the game. Pretty embarrassing offensive performance. To be able to muster nothing is ridiculous. Dude, the other team gets paid too, and they kicked the 49ers' ass tonight. No question about it. They physically dominated the 49ers. They stopped the run. They got quick pressure with just 4 guys. I count on one hand the number of times they blitzed, and I think Purdy actually beat them when they did blitz. Seattle doesn't blitz that often because they don't need to.
Yeah, if you had put odds on, if you were able to place a wager on the Niners will have the worst offensive performance in the Kyle Shanahan era, it would have been 1,000 to 1, 2,000 to 1. It would have been horribly huge odds to make you a lot of money, but that's the reality. It's the worst offensive game, and it's hard to wrap your head around how the heck did they score the fewest points and gain the fewest yards in the Kyle Shanahan era. They had Brian Hoyer starting for this team at one point.
It reminded me a lot of the Houston game because it was 3 and out, and they just couldn't get anything going. It was a slog offensively. Ellie K says, watch will play on Friday now. Can we at least get a Sunday playoff game next week, please? Can you give us?
I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't want it to be, but I'm guessing it's going to be the Monday game because of the fatigue thing. Like I said, the Niners have played 3 games in 12 days. They got screwed by the schedule this week because this absolutely should have been a Sunday game. And so they'll probably get the extra long mini bye week, a 9-day off Monday game.
Chris Waddell says Bosa is not close to a Hall of Famer. The Big 25 says Hawks offense isn't very good, and they only scored 13 points against the horrible Niners defense. I think the Seahawks called the game like they were not worried about the 49ers at all. They were like, we're not going to let Sam Darnold throw because we don't trust him. We're going to run the ball. Well, they actually went for it on 4th down, which was stunning because they have the least 4th down attempts in the league. They only had 11 going into tonight. I was really surprised that they went for it. But other than that, they were like, we'll kick our field goals and we'll be good. Sam Darnold still almost threw it. He did his best to throw an interception at the end of that game. If JSN doesn't tip it up, I think Renardo Green probably gets both feet down in bounds. They clearly did not trust Sam Darnold at all. I don't think they did. And who knows what could happen? What if the Panthers play them next week or the Bucs and they beat Seattle? And then you're like, wait, one of those defenses that matches up well against the Niners is out of the playoffs? That's what I mean. Let it all play out, and who the hell knows what's going to happen.
It was, you knew from that first possession that, boy, they really don't trust Darnold, because it was 3rd and 7, goal to go, and they ran the ball. They then ended up going for it, which that was the part that made no sense to me. If you're going for it, why the heck are you giving up on 3rd down by running? Now, granted, a 3rd and 17 is apparently not giving up when you're running later in the game, but I mean, that was a goal line situation.
He had a guy open too. He had the running back in the flat. I don't know why he didn't throw it to him, but whatever.
Yeah.
Oklahoma Niners 212 says sucky all around. L. I hope all my lineups were a bust too. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate that. From Kashif Khan 65. Thank you very much. Poontang Pie says Green Bay versus Niners in NFC Championship as a 6 and 7 seed. Hey, from your lips to God's ears, I'd sign up for that. Swift Gotti says, if we could have made history with this W and we still can, pick up the broken pieces and move forward while we still have a chance defense. Do you feel better about Fred Warner potentially coming back next week, Levin? Because Matt Barrows said on the pod
next week.
Oh, that's true. Right.
Yeah.
Matt Barrows said on the pod with Kyle Kami that Warner is actually targeting the divisional round and not the NFC Championship game. That's what he's telling teammates, according to Barrows. Let's say the 49ers find a way to squeak into the divisional round, how much do you think Fred Warner, 3 months after his ankle pointing in the opposite direction, helps this defense?
I mean, it helps quite a bit. Does it help enough? Probably not. I mean, the real problem is if they win in the wild card, unless Green Bay wins as well, they will be the lowest seed remaining, which means they go to Seattle. The offense just showed they can't score against Seattle's defense. Now, will they do better than 3 points? Yeah, but are you expecting them to get 30 plus? I'm not. Are you expecting the defense to do better than they did tonight with 13 points? No, because they gave up yards. Seattle gained almost 400 yards in this game, and they ran for, I think it was like 4.6 yards per carry. So it's a tall order, in my opinion, because it's likely, even if they win the first week, they have to go to the team that just showed they can match up one-on-one and win 10 out of the 11 one-on-ones on the field.
They played twice. The Niners won one. The Seahawks won one. And they've given up 2 touchdowns in those games. I still give them a chance. I'm not thinking if they have to play in Seattle that they have no shot. They absolutely have a shot. Would it be difficult? Sure.
Every team has a shot against any team on any given Sunday.
That's what I'm saying. Kashif Khan says, so proud and so disappointed in our defense. How the heck do you give up 19 yards on a 3rd and 17? Yes, that play was inexcusable, but the offense is the unit that gets the biggest piece of blame pie tonight. There's no question. Absolutely. They only scored 3. They only got inside the Seattle 30-yard line one time in the game, and they threw a pick when they did. The offense gets the biggest piece of blame pie tonight. No question about it.
Yeah, the offense gets a massive amount of that pie. It's not a majority. It's a large majority of that, or a super majority, if you want to use that term.
Okay. Downtown Sid Brown says, what was the timing for Pearsall being declared no-go this game? Feels like Kyle had no game plan. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he came out with the inactives. It wasn't. Yeah. So I can't say. Alex Sand says both lines got dominated. Big question now: do we rush Warner back for the playoffs, knowing what we saw tonight, or sit him till next year? I don't think you have to. I mean, I don't know that he's going to be able to play today. Next week, even if they had won. Now I know they would have a bye, but I think he literally needs the next week to be able to even have a chance to play in the divisional round.
When Fred Warner is willing to play, he plays.
Period.
Like if you're still alive in the playoffs and you have a player willing to play, even if it's a risk to themselves, to me, that's not a situation that the team gets to make that choice. You let the player decide that. Just like Owens playing in the Super Bowl on a broken ankle. That's his choice. Like, that is the Super Bowl. When you're in the playoffs, the player gets to decide if they are capable of going. Now, obviously, if they can't even walk and it's just a player being stubborn, that's a different story. But if it's just he has a risk of re-injury that would be really bad, to me, it's the player's choice.
That you have to. I mean, what happens to Fred Warner's ankle if he comes back could affect him for the rest of his life. Like, that is not an exaggeration. It has to be his choice. No question about it. Kevin Cook says this was a tale of the injured versus the healthy. I mean, the Seahawks had their injuries too. It's not like they had everybody, but we know the 49ers list of injuries is lengthy. A legitimate Epic TV says, would you consider live streaming for the playoffs? Oh, man, I'm intolerable watching a regular season game. Live streaming for the playoffs. I mean, it may be the last broadcast of the year. Who knows? I'd consider it. I'll say that.
This is the thing. There would have to be some kind of knowing it would be worth it. And that's hard to do when you're doing it for the first time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do it and, 100 people watched us. And there was no much of an interaction in the chat to where it was truly kind of an immersive experience. Or like, I don't have to make money doing it because I don't really do this to make money. But if it's not going to be immersive where there's a lot of chat going and kind of like getting to have that atmosphere, then I would want to at least make money while doing it. So like, and I have no idea how likely either one of those are, but you, like me, and I think it's you more because your kid's a little bit older, you want to watch the game with your kid and your kid wants to watch the game with you. And so you have to give that up. And it does change the viewing experience to a degree because now you're working rather than just sitting, watching, and enjoying.
Well, you know what? I don't want to do it, but I do have to point out my son got invited to go see a Quinnipiac hockey game tonight. It started at 8:00, and he went. He went to the game. He didn't watch football with his dad. He went to the game. He came back at halftime. It stung. It stung a little bit. Not going to lie.
Yeah. Like, I'm not against it. To me, like, my kid doesn't particularly enjoy watching the game because it means she doesn't get to watch what she wants. You know, she's young enough to where she's not truly into football. She knows it's big for me, but in her mind, as a 5-year-old, she goes, well, I don't get to watch my shows now. So
Dad, the TV for 3 hours.
So, like, yeah, me coming down here and having my monitor on and watching it on, I have a 27-inch monitor 1 foot to the left of my computer. Yeah, I'm more willing to do that. It just, I don't also know exactly how you do that and have it timed up for everybody and make it actually something that's worth watching for other people.
I will consider it. I will look into it. I would have to figure out a couple things technically to get that to work. Batman29 says, when Michelle doesn't say, hey, we lose. Facts. That's how Michelle starts every show on Friday. I didn't realize she didn't say that. Kyle Shanahan just said something about Ricky Pearsall that I think is really interesting, and we'll get to that in a minute. But first, a word from Sleeper. They sponsor the show. Please go check out Sleeper if you haven't done so already. You can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Go download the app. It's the best app in the business. You can see all the picks there. They have all different sports, NFL and other sports. You got to pick higher or lower on different statistical categories. It's pretty simple. And if you get your picks right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Download the app. Check it out. If you do, you'll get a free $20 entry. And if you want to deposit money, use our code GSP, and you'll get up to a $100 deposit match on your first deposit. So please do. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. All right, let's get to what Kyle Shanahan said about Ricky Pearsall and Trent Williams, by the way. And I think it's telling, and it's not going to make you happy. Kyle said Williams and Pearsall would have had a, quote, much better chance to play if the game was on Sunday. Said it was ultimately too risky to play either of them on a short week. Look, I don't know that having either one of those guys suddenly means we're going to score 50 in the game. Would it have helped? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Trent Williams a little bit more than Ricky, honestly, just because the biggest reason the offense failed was they couldn't get blocking anywhere. Run game, pass game, anything. If they had Trent Williams, maybe Brock Purdy's able to escape to the left frequently and make a play. I mean, he escaped the pocket, twice in this game, and both times got completions in terms of escaping to the outside while still looking around trying to find a pass play and make magic happen. So, yeah, it is flat out frustrating. Like I said on our weekly show, I would not blame him. I would be 100% saying, nope, that is perfectly fine to say after a loss because it is BS. If Kyle Shanahan said in the postgame, there should be a rule against the NFL scheduling a team to play 3 times in 12 days, and shame on them for not having us play on Sunday.
It's frustrating, but sometimes, you play the cards you're dealt. Unfortunately, the 49ers had to fold basically tonight. Surge H15 says secondary bad because lack of pass rush. Quarterbacks have all day. Glass City 2490. Bosa got 15.5 sacks the year after the 2020 ACL. You're insane, Levin. Bosa fits everything this defensive philosophy is about. Look, this is 3 ACL tears on Nick Bosa. Okay?
He's not 23, 24 years old.
It's there's some questions. Not saying he can't do it, but there are definitely questions. And his contract, his cap hit is big. That's going to be a financial situation. By the way, I should apologize to you. You called it out a couple weeks ago that Trent Williams' contract is going to be an issue this year because he's got a big cap number and he wants to get paid one more time. Done a little digging on that. Heard from some people. That is exactly why he told everybody he's not close to retiring. He wants to get another contract. It is going to be an issue. You were right. I was wrong. You are good looking. I'm not attractive.
Sure. The first part I agree with, but full credit. I couldn't remember at the time where I saw it, and you found it later after the show and texted me, did you see this?
Yeah.
And I was like, I skimmed an ESPN article, and they mentioned his cap hit in it and said he'll probably be wanting a new contract. And I was like, well, hold on here. I don't know that the team will necessarily want to pay him what he wants to be paid because they've done this multiple times, and none of the times with Trent Williams has the team wanted to pay him what he wants. So I do think that would be, unfortunately, a big storyline in the offseason. But I also wanted to say, like, I keep seeing people mentioning Ayuk and how he got paid, and we're talking about Bosa and stuff, and I started thinking about it. I was like, we really should go through and look at every single player who either reset their position's market or got a $20+ million a year AAV contract, and how many of them did not work out for the 49ers? Because Debo did not work out. Never had 1,000 yards after he got paid.
Yep.
Ayuk, obviously, not working out. Bosa, not working out. Like, how many of them actually worked out?
It's unfortunate.
Kittle, obviously. Warner has worked out.
Kittle, McCaffrey.
That would be something to look into that I had not started to stockpile all the different contracts. Like, I don't know. There's kind of an argument to be made here of not doing it.
Dirty diaper, 3rd place schedule next year as I wanted. Yay.
Not guaranteed yet.
Most of the games are all but decided and locked in anyway. I will say, talking about Debo, this was a game where you missed that type of player. And what I mean by that is a guy that can take a catch, break 3 tackles, and run to the house for a 70-yard touchdown, against a good defense. Like, the defense does everything right. They're in a position to contain, but the guy just makes an incredible physical play to overcome that. 49ers don't have anybody like that anymore. Kittle is not that guy anymore, and he doesn't get that many opportunities, even if he still might be. And they missed that this year against the great defense. Those are the games you miss those players because, like we talked about, sometimes Mike Macdonald, the other coach, does get one over on you. Sometimes you're not able to scheme it open and have guys wide open sometimes you just need a guy to make a football play. And that's where you felt the loss of the game breakers on offense.
Yeah, I mean, they had a couple chances to make a football play. That catch that turned into an interception for Christian McCaffrey. If he catches that, he had a chance of scoring. It was a one-on-one on the outside. Does he score? Probably not, because the guy was closing down fast. But he would have been able to gain some yards and get it down inside the 5. The fumble, obviously, if they recovered that fumble, I would say that the Niners had a better than 50-50 chance of winning the game at that point, because that would have been a momentum swing. They were only down 7 at that point, and they would have had the ball deep in Seattle's around
the 30
side of the field. Yeah, so I feel like that would have completely swung the game. If they stopped them on 3rd and 17, it would not have been as big of a swing as the fumble recovery. But again, they were only down 7 at that point and would have been getting the ball back. So there were opportunities to make a play, and they weren't made. And that's just the fact. Like, this is a game Did they have, despite being dominated in this game, have chances to win? Yes. And it's kind of the flip side of week one. The Niners dominated the game. Did Seattle have chances to have won that game? Yeah. Did they make the play when they needed to? No.
And the 49ers did in week one. They did not tonight. Matt Baldwin, 2646, YouTube channel member. Thank you. Says, no Pearsall and Trent tonight wasn't the entire story, but can't be overlooked. Went 12-5 when we were left for dead after Warner's injury. Every NFC playoff team has warts. One game isn't the story. That's exactly where I am, Matt. Exactly where I am. And look, they may lose next week. I don't know. But all I'm saying is let's play it out before we declare the season dead. The other point I want to make, too, by the way, Greg Sanchez literally said exactly what you said, Levin. A few plays away from possibly winning, not bad. Seattle is able to stay in nickel, too. That's the other part of this. So not only are they getting pressure with 4 and having 7 guys in coverage, but the 7 guys have an extra defensive back because it's usually Nick Eamon-Warry, who's a friggin' mutant. And so it makes it even harder to pass against 7 men in coverage because you don't have a linebacker to take advantage of out there. It's just a bad matchup for the 49ers defensively. Just bad.
Yeah, you talking about formations that reminded me. One of the plays that Seattle got that long run where it was everybody on the defense crashed to one side. They were running a 3-4. It was 3 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers in on that play.
I don't understand. So the Seahawks locker room, they're like lighting cigars and celebrating. Our
division title.
Are people mad about that? They won a division title and they got the number 1 seed. Should they not celebrate? Like they asked George.
Where are you seeing people are mad about that?
They asked George Kittle about it. I would do the same shite. They won the division, the 1 seed in a rival stadium. Good for them. Yeah, like we're asking George Kittle about the Seahawks celebrating in the. Of course they're celebrating in the locker room. Why wouldn't they? When you win, you get to celebrate.
Yeah, and if you get a win in your rival's stadium, yeah, you trash that locker room when you're celebrating.
Yeah, I don't know why we're concerned about this. Purdy said he's doing okay with the stinger. Okay. You know, again, let's wait and see. Purdy's doing okay on Sunday or Saturday after the game. Let's see how he's doing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I wanted to comment about something that you talked about on the crossover pod. You talked about who's going to end up being the biggest rivalry between the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Rams. What 2 combination of those teams end up being the biggest rivalry of this era? Is it the Niners and Rams? Is it the Seahawks and Rams, the Niners and Seahawks, so on? And I think the correct answer was whichever team out of the 49ers and Seahawks wins the Super Bowl next, because the Rams have one. Whichever team, they're all good, and they're all likely to be good for years to come, for the foreseeable future. It's whatever team actually does win a Super Bowl. Now you got 2 teams that have won a Super Bowl with their current makeup going at it.
Yeah, let's see if Seattle wins the Super Bowl. Well, who knows?
Anything. I'm not saying I didn't say the Niners. I'm saying to get a true like hated rivalry, I think you have to have those kind of stakes on the line. The 49ers and the Rams, they're to me personally, I kind of hate the Seahawks more, but I think that's just the past of 15 years ago affecting me, because the team that should be the bigger rival is the Rams. Why? Because they've actually gone up against each other in the playoffs. There have been big time stakes, and they also have the better connection. It's McVay and Shanahan. Like there's a true connection there.
They beat San Francisco in the NFC Championship to get to the Super Bowl and then won it. So I agree with you. Dirty Diaper says, sorry, Rob, but Levin is right. Time to look forward to next season. Legitimate Epic TV. Can Shanahan still win Coach of the Year? He should to me, but he won't. He has no chance now.
Whether he should or not, I think some of that depends on what happens. But no, he's not going to, because this is going to be the lasting image that voters are going to have is the 49ers having the worst offensive game they've had in a decade.
Ever. Yeah, in a decade, because Kyle's for 9 years. Well, Edgar, ever under Kyle is what I meant. Edgar says, rough year with injuries. Schedule helped. Let's wait for next game. That's where I agree. Greg Sanchez says, a still hurt Kittle. CMC set a record for most touches and is tired as hell. We had our wide receiver 1 and 2 out. There was a reason our offense struggled. Yeah, all that's true. And also,
we had them out before and they did better.
Right. Also, the Seahawks kicked our ass. That's fair too. Kyle York, thank you very much. That's a nice donation. YouTube channel member says, Purdy played okay. Shanahan called a terrible game. Gold Standard is the top 49ers show. Yeah, that's right. Like and subscribe, baby. There's still more than 2,000 people watching the show. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kyle York. Dirty Diaper.
Is he related to the Yorks?
No, they don't give $20. They wouldn't give us $20. The Dirty Diaper says, kicking a field goal in 3rd and 17, game over with those. Kicking a field goal when? You didn't like that the 49ers kicked a field goal? You needed a field goal when the 49ers, you needed multiple scores when the 49ers kicked it. It was 10-0. So I had no problem with it. And also because it was, what was it? 4th and 3. I would have understood if they went for it, but you needed multiple scores. So I was not upset about that. Joe JC says, love everybody at the Gold Standard, but Levin's right. The 1988 Niners, these guys ain't. Let's go out on our shields. Who says they were the 88 Niners? Like, what? All I'm saying is nobody knows what's going to happen, and we never thought the 49ers would be here in our wildest dreams. So there's no – you're telling me they can't possibly win next week? I don't believe that at all. Let's let it play out.
I'm not saying they can't win next week. It's the having to do it 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe some crazy stuff happens and some quarterbacks go down. And then who the hell knows? Like, we don't know. We don't know. The Big 25 says Bethune and Winters could possibly be out next week. Yeah, I mean, the linebackers, at one point in this game, they had Eric Kendricks in there with some dude wearing 49, who Garrett something, I didn't even know he existed on this planet. That's how thin they are at linebacker.
Yeah, it's just insane. We've talked about it many times in the past because it's a topic every single freaking season with this team. I am so sick of injuries. It really is like, you want to talk about a wet blanket. That's the wet blanket because it really does just kind of bring you down. It's like you can see what the team could be. And every single year, it's can they win despite X, Y, and Z being out?
And even when they have a healthy year, they get to the Super Bowl and they lose Dre Greenlaw and they lose George Kittle, like 2 massive pieces in that game specifically. But hey, it is what it is. Poontang Pie says Warner comes back against the Bucs in the divisional round. Derek Ringgold, bad play calling by Shanahan, opting to kick off was dumb. I have said I thought the 49ers should take the ball every time because you want their offense to get the chance to get a lead. Niners obviously did not do that. Did they choose to kick off or did the Seahawks win? I can't remember at this point. I know the Seahawks got the ball first, but
I don't actually know. I tuned in right as kickoff was happening. So
Quinn Rasmussen says, need Kyle to lock in next week. We got an extra day. Maybe. We don't know. I guess we'll probably have to wait till the end of Sunday to figure out when the 49ers play.
I would say it's definitely Sunday or Monday.
I would hope. Ellie K says, we've been the team up by 10 in the 4th and watched it slip away multiple times. Was hoping to experience the other side of that for once, but alas. Yeah, they flashed the stat on the screen. Kyle is, I think, 1 in 39 when trailing by at least 7 points going into the 4th quarter. Now, look, I feel like that stat is a little deceptive because it's 7 or more points. So if you're trailing by 17 points going into the 4th quarter, not many coaches are pulling those games out, but it certainly could be better. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I mean, I would venture a guess it's the worst record of any coach that has, I don't know, 10, 15 such instances. Like, obviously, there's probably coaches out there that are newer coaches that are 0-2 or 0-3 or something like that. But I mean, 1 in 39th, that is a very good amount of data to confirm. Yeah, he doesn't seem to be able to come back.
I mean, it's not his fault that Christian McCaffrey didn't catch the pass. Like,
no, but I think there is something to be said that Kyle's passing game is one predicated on you don't know necessarily if they're going to pass because he likes to line up and run a lot and run motions to where you're not sure exactly what's happening. But it's also his passing game is a long developing passing game. And when you're down, the other team can tee off against you, and you don't have the time to get the passes off that he likes to do.
I'm not as upset by that stat as everybody else. It also doesn't.
I mean, it is what it is. he has a winning record with the Niners. So
also doesn't include the NFC Championship game where they overcame a 17-point deficit so fast that they were tied going into the fourth quarter. So that doesn't apply to that stat. So,
yeah,
it is what it is. Slosh Shanny says, my hot take, the Niners will end up playing in the NFC Championship game in their own stadium and win it all. In their own stadium. But a lot of things would have to go their way for that to happen because they're likely going to be the 6th seed.
Yeah, so, Green Bay would have to beat most likely the Bears, and then would have to beat the Seahawks, and the Niners would have to beat Philly, and either, I don't know, who would it be in the second round for that scenario to happen? It would have to be, they would have to play the Bucks. They couldn't play the Rams. So,
right. By the way, San Francisco 7-2 on the road this year and 5-3 at home. So they've actually been a better team on the road than at home for what that's worth. Again, I don't.
Did you see McDonald's stats on the road? Insane.
Yeah, he's been. He has 2 losses, right? 14-2.
14-2. Yeah. 15-2. Yeah.
Second only to
George Seifert,
who didn't lose a road game in his first 2 years as a head coach. 16-0. Unreal. The man should be in the Hall of Fame. Kyle York, another super chat. Thank you. Says, not related. Purdy was the only offense, especially running, we had in this game. Why we didn't have more rollouts is confusing. The fans giving up after one bad game shouldn't watch sports. Purdy was even on the field goal drive, he made 2 amazing plays in the game where he's dodging pressure, extending plays, making tough throws. Like he was doing everything he could. There was nothing out there for him.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like he made the most, and that's maybe the saddest statement you could say.
Right.
Purdy did the most he could. There were not plays missed. There were not mistakes made. The turnover is not on him. 0% on him, in my opinion. Like, so it's what could he have done to win this game?
I agree. Like, and again, I'm going to rewatch the film, so I'll see if there were open guys that he wasn't seeing, but it didn't seem like it because I feel like they would have highlighted that and during the broadcast if there were. It was just bad, man. The Seahawks whooped them. They got them. Like, we can admit it. They dominated the game. There's no other way to look at it. Dirty Diaper again says, sorry, Levin, Rob is right. Season not over. Ha! I've convinced him.
I will say that they pointed out one thing about how Seattle plays in their defense that I was like, that's the problem that the Niners have. That's where they're lacking on defense. They talked about how Seattle sits back in this zone, but when a player comes into their zone, they cover them as if they're in man. Like they pick them up, and it's not just, I'm staying somewhat close to him and keeping my zone. It's that guy's in my zone. I'm going running with him man to man. And if he leaves my zone, I'll try to pass him off to somebody else where he's entering their zone. That's where the Niners failed. The Niners have been playing a lot of zone this year, and they're late to recognize people coming into their zone and pick them up. There are a lot of times where you see a player that, especially the safeties are bad at this, where they see the player coming into their zone, but then they're too far away to come make the play. I saw multiple times that Brown did that again as the safety, where he sees the player come into his zone. He comes down and starts covering him, but he doesn't come down and get close enough to him. He stays 5 yards away from him to where he gets the completion, and then he's there to make the tackle. There was the play when Darnold rolled out towards the end of the game, where the linebacker's literally bumped by the receiver, and then he ignores the receiver to stay in his stance of the zone and lets the receiver run 2-3 yards away from him and get a completion. Tough. It's like, cover the damn guy. He hits you. You know he's there.
And it's a scramble drill at that point. So just plaster. You're taught to plaster. But it was that Garrett, whatever his name was. That's the linebacker that was in there. Dirty Diaper says, this damn team and season got me going bipolar. I like this comment. LEK says, where was Tonjes? Farrell should not see the field. Where was Jake Tonjes? We miss you, Jake.
Where was it? Like everybody.
That's the thing. And I feel like too with Kyle, I always talk about how his offense is like a train. It takes a while to build up a little momentum, but when it gets rolling, it's impossible to stop. They never could get rolling tonight. They were 3-out. They never got in a rhythm. They never really were able to gain any momentum throughout the game, and that's a credit to the Seahawks.
Yeah, and one thing you should ask Johnny when you do the film breakdown,
Mhm.
ask him, is this a game that Seattle gave a blueprint? Or is this a game that Seattle has the unique talent to be able to play this way and shut the Niners down? Like, is it a combination that they created a game plan that other teams can follow to stop the Niners or limit them at least? Or is this the Seattle's just so talented they can play in a way that other teams would be giving up big plays, but because their players are good on defense, they don't give up those plays?
I can ask, but I think I know the answer. The answer is quick pressure with 4 and have an extra nickel in coverage with your 7. That's a good defense. That's a defensive game plan to beat anybody. How about this from Joe Buck? So my guy, John Jastrzemski, who I love, who has been on the show multiple times, said the Niner uniforms stink, and Joe Buck quote tweeted it and said, I can say with certainty that a play-by-play announcer did not design them. That was a challenge, meaning it must have been difficult to read names and numbers. I know that.
Yes. I found myself doing that. There were multiple times the 6s and the 0s identical. There were multiple times I thought Mustafa made a stop and it ended up being Green, or I thought Green made the stop and it ended up being Mustafa because they're number 6 and they're number 0. I literally couldn't tell until I would see name on the back.
I think the problem is I just need a bigger TV. That's usually the solution to all my problems.
That's not my problem. So,
well, I have a 75-inch. I just want a bigger TV. I think that it was an issue the last time the 49ers had black uniforms as well. That was a big complaint, was that they were really hard to see who the hell the players were. Again, far down on the list of 49ers problems. I just thought it was interesting. So that is the unfortunate circumstance this team finds itself in right now. No number 1 seed. As I said at the top of the show, the road to the Super Bowl still goes through Santa Clara, but the Niners are going to have to take the scenic route if they are going to get there after the 13-3 loss. It's a bummer. It is a bummer, but it is still 1 loss. It only counts once. And we have seen this offense play better against good defenses. It's not like, oh, they finally played a good defense and they got shut down. Like, they played well against the Cleveland Browns. They put up 26 points against them. They are a good defense. They did that on the road. They played well against Indianapolis, who's not a great defense, but certainly a solid defense, and they put up 48 on them. So don't lose hope in the offense. They got some things to figure out. They got some guys they need to get healthy. It is a bummer. This week is going to stink. The nice thing is that they played tonight on Saturday, and people won't talk that much about it because by the time Monday comes around, this game is old news. So that is something. And you just got to get ready for the playoffs and hope that things go your way. And anything can happen. And this season is a testament to that. And that's what you got to tell yourself going into a playoff game, whoever it's against.
Yeah. And we'll see who can get healthy and actually play. It would be nice to actually have the full squadron available. Have Pearsall get healthy. Have Trent Williams get healthy. Have Purdy not have this injury be more serious than what they were saying in the press conference. Get Winters and Bethune healthy. Like, I don't want to see the offense get these guys back only to be, oh, yeah, we're playing these linebackers that we just signed off the street at the end of the season because 2 of our 3 starters got hurt after we already had starters hurt.
By the way, people are asking about Brock. They're saying it's a stinger. He said he's fine. Kyle said it's a stinger. Those things are scary when they happen, and then they can go away and you could be fine, or it could also get re-aggravated and be a scary thing.
I was going to say, who was it that had a stinger, I want to say 2 years ago, and they said, oh, nope, he's not going to miss any time he's back. And then first or second play of that next game, he got hit and had the same stinger happen. Was that Jennings?
I can't remember, but that's exactly how it could be. It's one of those things. It could be nothing, or it could be something, and we won't know until we actually have to play it out. Bubba Butt 99 says, LOL, are you serious, Rob? You're a water carrier and a clown show. Peace. They ain't doing anything in the playoffs. Delusional fan. Yes, I'm a water carrier for the 49ers, Levin, because I'm saying anything can happen. Let's see what happens before we go doom and gloom. That's me carrying water for the team. Look, man, I get it. It sucks that they lost tonight. It hurts. It stinks. Guess what? It doesn't mean they can't win next week, man. Like, let's see what happens. Did you ever think the 49ers were going to win 12 games this year? No. You would have said, and I said it. This season is over. They're not going to do anything. Guess what? I was wrong, because anything can happen. So don't let this one loss ruin the rest of the year for you, man. I know we're all trying to protect ourselves from the pain of losing a playoff game, and I get that. But damn, if you can't enjoy it now, when are you going to enjoy it?
Forrest Gump, come get your man.
I mean, like, come on, people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have high hopes. I do, can they win a playoff game? Yeah. I have much higher hopes of them winning this next week. It's the trying to get through 3 of them in a row that I don't have high hopes for.
But sorry.
This was supposed to be a rebuilding year. Shanahan literally phrased it as that prior to the season. When you're looking full picture, you zoom out. You're not just zeroed in on what's happening right now, what just happened, and you zoom out on the season. I think you can say the season is a success. I do think that they got a lot of positions they need to address going forward, but one of the, you can call it a silver lining, moral victories, whatever BS term you want to give it, to all these injuries this year is that the guys that are depth pieces now have starting experience. So your backups are going to be that much more experienced because of what happened this year. So if you go out and you address some of the positions that you need to address and you get starters, you have more depth to lean on next year because of what happened this year.
That's why this year is cool. It's all house money, man. And Bubba says they're trash and have been trash. So have you not been watching, Bubba? You're not watching, right? Because they're trash. They're 12-win team, but they're trash somehow. One of the best 3 teams in the NFC, but they're trash. You haven't been watching. You're not going to pay attention. You just came in a random 49ers live show to say that they're trash. Okay. Like, dude, I'm not going to tell you how to fan. That's fine. I'm not telling you got to watch. If you don't want to watch, don't watch. I'm telling you, I'm as excited as ever because this team is doing things I never thought they could do. And they were doing them at an amazing level before tonight. They lost tonight. Yeah, it happens. The Rams lost to the friggin' Falcons, okay? The Rams lost to the Panthers. It happens. Playoffs are up now. What do we say? When the playoffs begin, the season begins anew. And that's where we're going to be in 7 days.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. It's hard to get there right now because of how bad this game was. But it is house money. I do think that they can beat any of the, whether it's the Bears or the Eagles, I do think they can beat them. I think there's 2 teams in the playoffs that I would say they're very heavy underdogs against, and that's the Rams and the Seahawks. I think the Rams and Seahawks are the 2 most talented teams, and I think they obviously know how to use that talent against the Niners because they get to play them every year twice. So those are the 2 teams I would like to avoid if possible. But I do think that they can win, and I think that's just the story of the NFL is that you don't have a dominant team. The Seattle Seahawks are the closest to that this season, and they have Sam freaking Darnold as their quarterback. Is Sam Darnold going to become a Super Bowl winning quarterback? I wouldn't bet that.
Would anybody be shocked Seattle was 1 and done in the playoffs? Would you be shocked? No, you wouldn't be shocked.
And that's the story of this year.
Yeah. Exactly.
Would you be shocked if the Patriots are 1 and done, or the Broncos, who, if they win, get the 1 seed, would be 1 and done in the AFC? No, that's the weird thing this year. You're not going to be shocked by any team losing in the playoffs because there isn't that dominant team. The dominant teams that you thought you were going to have all faltered. Kansas City, blue chunks. Buffalo has had an Achilles heel. Their defense isn't very good, and they don't have you think the Niners don't have wide receivers. Josh Allen would love to have had the receivers that they had in this game because Jennings is head and shoulders above any wide receiver that the Bills have.
So just don't get too down after the loss. It sucks. I get it. But it is 1 loss, and it doesn't have any effect on what they do in the playoffs. By the way, Dan Viennes, who hosts the NFC West mixtape with me, points out that Purdy was pressured on 33% of his dropbacks, second most he's faced all season. The most was week 1 against the same team. This Seahawks defense is a bad matchup for the 49ers. I'm surprised it was only 33%, quite frankly. It felt like every time.
Yeah, pressures is one of those statistics that I've stopped caring about, honestly. Like the last 10 years, every time I look at pressures, and then Like I watch a game and then I look at the pressures after the game and I go, that doesn't line up. So I think it's too subjective of a statistic. I don't really care about pressures anymore.
The 49ers missed 16 tackles in the game.
Yeah.
Not good. That's something that you can fix. Like, you can tackle better than that, man. You can. And again, I want to say it again expressly. The offense was the biggest reason for the loss, not the defense. The offense was. But the defense also could have played a hell of a lot better. Moonman Ed says, for the reaction cover, can we have 11 picture? No. I'm handsome. I'm putting my own picture on the thumbnail. How dare you, Moonman?
I mean, hot take. I actually liked your playoff ones that you did last year that had like white mixed in much better than what we have currently. I was just going back end of year. We've been texting each other some statistics, and I was going back and I was looking at, okay, what made the most money on between this year and last year of the different videos. And I found the playoff instant reactions from not obviously last year, but the year before. And I was like, dang, I like how that picture looks compared to what we have.
Well, let's wait till we get some playoff instant reactions this year. How about that? And we'll see which ones do better. Is that okay with you?
No.
Sure.
Well, hey, I'm number one advisor here. So my advice, I don't like your art currently.
Well, I'll take it under advisement. If it'll make us better, make me more money, I'll look into it. But I'm not promising anything. Anyway, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. Thank you, everybody. Like this video again. Subscribe to the channel. If this is your first time checking us out, we are live after every single game. We are live every single weekday. We do film breakdowns on the channel. On the audio side, we do a 5-minute news update every single morning with injury reports and press conference clips and everything you need to know to keep you up to date on the goings-on with the team. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow the Gold Standard Podcast wherever you get your audio podcasts. I promise you, you will enjoy the ride, even if things don't go the way the 49ers want it to go, although I'm still not giving up hope.
We did have a super chat just come in. If you want to throw that out before we go.
Yes, I'm sorry. Sean Turner's from Boy Meets World. Sean Turner says Saquon's going to shred us, sadly. Sirianni's smug face. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, he has run the ball just as poorly as Christian McCaffrey has this year.
All I can say is that if I'm the Niners, I am flying Dre Greenlaw in, having him sit behind the Eagles bench, and if Big Dom makes contact with anybody, have an agreement. You will pay any fines and bail him out of jail to jump over the stands and go after Big Dom. That's the number one thing. If I see Big Dom in that game make contact with a player, I am not a violent person. I don't like violence, but that guy should get laid out because no, you can't have it happen twice. Guy should be, let me put it in a nicer way. The guy should be banned forever from NFL stadiums if he makes contact with a player a second time. I
thought he should have been. I mean, they did ban him for the rest of the season that year, which was the correct thing to do. Oh, God, that was a long time ago. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for watching. We appreciate it. Try to enjoy the rest of your night and the rest of your week. We'll talk to you on Monday.